This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast, a safe place to have a voice and talk about branding and all the reasons that bring a brand to be brilliantly branded. I am your host, Maria Lucia Romero, a woman empowering other women, and I am welcoming you to this journey of learning and inspiration to build awareness around the world of business and the world of brands. This is the Brilliantly Branded podcast. In our episode today, we had an interview that looks more like a warm conversation with a dear friend. Our guest shares some of her life lessons, including the reminder that it's crucial not to take what others think too personally. According to her, it's not about external opinions. It's about understanding and prioritizing what truly matters to you. We spoke about the importance of doing what you love and building self-confidence. Our guest, the Dr. Silvia Colucci, is the Bioincubator manager at the University of Luxembourg. She tells us her personal opinion about success, where the common denominator is about knowing what is important for you and managing as the key to embracing your passions unapologetically. Adding a touch of magic to our conversation, Silvia introduced the concept of knowledge pearls. She shared with us how we can fill our knowledge with these diverse pearls, emphasizing that it is okay not to know when we will use the next time. This resonates with the idea that knowledge is a journey, not a destination. So please grab a cup of coffee or tea, or we are in holidays, maybe some cremant. Please enjoy this friendly conversation, and welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. Welcome one more time to the Brilliantly Branded podcast. This is a safe place where I am having conversations with my guests and actually revealing stories from different worlds. As you will know, and people that have been already joining the community, we are building this community of empowerment that is aimed to generate this impact, not just from the women's side, but as well from diversity, from inclusion, from equity. And actually, our community wants to make an impact. And we need from you, of course, to help on that and give us your support. So please follow us now in a group on LinkedIn called the Brilliantly Branded Community, and help us to get this support and spread this voice that generates this more impact. So today we are going to jump into the world of science, the world of innovation and personal empowerment. We have the pleasure of hosting a very nice person that I met recently, and this is the Dr. Silvia Colucci, with a distinguished background, included a PhD in science. And Silvia has her journey. She's going to explain that later on, but she have been passing for the Big Fours, and currently the help of innovation and partnering at LCSB in University of Luxembourg. This is the Luxembourg Center for Systems Biomedicine. She is going to explain us later on about that. And Silvia brings a wealth of experience and insights to inspire all of us. So welcome, Silvia. And my first question is, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Thanks very much for inviting me. So yes, I'm Silvia. I was born here in Luxembourg, as you can see behind. It's a very important part of my identity. I studied in the UK. I was there for 10 years. I went to Imperial College. I studied biochemistry. And I also had the chance to work in the UK at Accenture. I served clients in different industries, from capital markets to pharma and other industries as well. And following that, I came back to Luxembourg in 2016. And I worked for still in Big Four companies. And I did projects again in many different industries. So I worked for the European Commission. I served a bank here in Luxembourg. And that was until 2019 when I joined the university. so at the LCSB, Luxembourg Center for Systems Biomedicine, as you previously mentioned.
Yeah.
And yes, as part of the university, I was also involved in the COVID task force in 2020, as you can imagine.
Wow.
And since earlier this year, I'm also taking care of the Bioincubator project, and I'm sure we will have a chance to speak about that during
Yeah,
our
yeah.
conversation.
Thank you very much, Silvia, for sharing this background with us. I think it's important for us to understand a little bit your background, because the things that you are doing right now are making a big impact, especially in your experience. This is an incubator or accelerator. I still don't know what is the clear difference, but if you can explain to us what is the difference and what are exactly what are you doing there, will be nice.
I would say it is an incubator. It's called the Bioincubator. It's the only startup incubator in Luxembourg with space in the laboratory. So it's really for companies that are doing experiments either in biology or chemistry, and that need a certified space to do it. The difference between incubator and accelerator, maybe it's on the stage of the company. So we really take companies that are very very young. So from one employee, and also like spin-offs of the university. So that are still trying to find the balance between academia and business. We we don't yet offer accelerator services such as finding HR resources for the companies. We don't help them with their internationalization. So yeah, I would say it's definitely an incubator.
It's an incubator, and it's this opportunity that we find as an entrepreneur to really try our project and really test if this is something that works and can go out to the market. But during this process, what have been those challenges that you have been facing in the people that are arriving to us for help or wanted to create new companies or new ideas?
Yeah, the challenges that I see in the entrepreneurial world are very. There is always a common thread, and I had the chance already to witness some of those. To learn about this field already when I worked in the Big Four companies. But the difficulties are mostly around fundraising and the lack of stability. Always searching for the next pot of money that will help you to be alive and to grow. I think as an entrepreneur, you don't really have a set path, so you can take many different routes, and no one is really there to tell you what the best way is. And I think especially for women, there is a lack of role models. It's I don't have yet the pleasure to host a female entrepreneur in our Bioincubator, and I hope that will soon change.
Yes.
Um, yes, so it's
Well, this is a big challenge probably because actually the projects related with science, and I don't have the numbers, but I don't know how many people are actually studying careers related with science that wanted to make the decision to, okay, I'm going to start a project. But it will be a nice way to make a call across the podcast to all these female entrepreneurs that wanted to be part and know that have your support, that have the support in the university. Actually, with an incubator, this process that can really make the difference, can really start to bring a projects that they are going to know that across you and the support that you are offering, they are going to find that on you.
yes,
So
yes, absolutely. I mean, even if you have a doubt whether the bioincubator is a good fit, it's a good place to start because I also can refer to other incubators or refer to the right person. So I never have a problem to connect people and let them find the best way. I'm not here to just sell the bioincubator, so
Yeah,
just here
you
to help.
Yeah, you mentioned something very important, and thank you for saying that, because I think it's important to clarify that the network and the connections that we can do, and you are offering that. So if people are not finding what they are looking for, you are going to connect, you are going to transfer, and we are an ecosystem that are very is a unit. So it's good that you are offering that in order to the people said, well, probably if we don't have the things that we want there, we are going to be connected in a different way. So
Yes, and
thank
it's
you.
especially important that now that we see that in Luxembourg there's more and more people coming from other geographies, that you just need uh, one person who opens multiple doors, and it's hard to figure out from the outside, how things work in a new country, and what the structures are and how they're interlinked. So yeah, I'm always very happy to help people coming from abroad. Also from a personal perspective, Luxembourg has some unwritten rules that it's better to discover early.
I love that. So, do you have some of those to let the listeners know some in advance?
Well, people always ask me, where do people go on Sunday? There's nothing to do. And people do tend to. So the first rule, unwritten rule, is that unfortunately most of the events are not on the internet. It's not like in other big cities where you can just Google things.
Yeah,
Often you find events advertised on the side of the roads, on boards, so it's
yeah,
it's a bit tricky for people coming from other places where it's not like that. So
yeah,
you'll often find gatherings of people, at a sports club, or in the summer, in a beautiful, like wood, or but you would never know that if you didn't have the information from very unofficial sources.
yeah. So, it's another way to say to the people, please be adventure. If you come to Luxembourg, please be adventure. That maybe in the countryside, in a corner, you're going to find a spectacular place to spend your time. And that is true. That
Yes.
have been happening to me as well.
Yeah.
And I love to talk about this personal experience and all your background in terms of professional working with big corporates, and well, now how have you personally kind of navigated your challenges related with the way that you as a woman have been dealing with that, because you have been in the big corporates but now supporting all these entrepreneurs. So can you share something related with that with us?
Yes, I think this is something that you figure out as you go along, but it's helpful to for me now at this stage to look back and share what was important for me. So I learned that doing what you love is key. So it doesn't matter what that is and in what order you do things. It's important to have always passion for what you do, and I'm not saying that while you're doing an Excel sheet, that you have to be passionate about that, but just know that it's a means to build your dream, and that the passion for that dream should always be there. I think what I also learned is that you should never really take very personally what other people think. Like in my career, many I got many feedback that would have derailed my path. Colleagues who said, why are you working in consulting when you've got so much education in biochemistry? But if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be able to do the job that I do today. So it's not about what other people think. It's about what's important for you.
Yeah.
I think the common denominator, of knowing, of doing what you love and not caring about what other people think, is that you have to build your self-confidence. You have to know what is important for you, and you have to be determined, and that only comes with building your self-confidence. And you can build your self-confidence in many different ways. It doesn't have to be only at work. I think it could be also through other activities that you do in your spare time. Yeah, and never be afraid of taking side turns, and it will all make sense in the end.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think is so deep in order to really uh, show your experience and give this advice coming from yourself. Because you said, well, there is a lot of things that probably you need to do personally that are changing your mindset, are changing your way to see the life. And I'm curious about what I mean. This is a balance, this balance between this personal and professional. So, what are the things that you like to do more? What are your hobbies? What are the activities that you use to really be feeding more this inner self?
So I always had a very diverse hobbies, and they are almost like a contrast to what I do in my work. So in my work, whereas uh, if it was at Imperial or in consulting, it was always the common denominator was always innovation, right? So looking into the future, like changing things, and being almost futuristic, and thinking about how things can go in the future. And so my hobbies are a bit the opposite. So I, for example, love to go to antique markets and learn about how people lived in the past through objects, and learn about. I like to learn about a subject, and then uh, really go deep into the knowledge of that subject. And it can be anything. So as you can see, there's a lot of diversion in my, but
Yes,
it helps to balance. It helps to take your mind off it and go into something completely different, and learn. I think that's the main thing for me, to learn.
it's beautiful because you like to coming back and see the roots where the things are coming from and where that have been made. And going to those markets is a lot of inspiration. I think this is like motivating and pushing your creativity out to do many things. So it's a nice hobby. I have to
Yes.
admit. Yeah.
And
Well,
it doesn't matter when you are next going to reuse that skill that you build. So you can fill your knowledge bag full of different knowledge pearls, and then use them, like, whenever you never know when you're gonna use them next, right?
yeah, that's
And
true.
it all comes together at some point. That's
It's
that's
very
my
wise.
philosophy anyway.
No, but it's very wise what you say because it's true. Sometimes things are arriving to your life and you are not expected that and you don't know what is happening. And then you realize one day, oh, well, now I know why that's happening to me. Now I can understand what is happening. And then you connect the dots. So
Yes.
it's very nice. We were talking about on our previous conversation about the zigzag careers, and this is something that took my attention when we were talking about that. And I will love you to give a little bit of context about what is that, the zigzag career, and how that have been applying to you and your experience. How that have been? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, a zigzag career is, in my definition, the opposite of a linear career, where you would do studies in a field and then do an internship in the same industry and then be a junior professional and then a senior professional. I did things slightly differently. So I went very, very deep into the field of biochemistry, all the way to PhD, and then I completely switched to work at Accenture. I joined Accenture with people who had studied law, economics, geography, anything, history, and I was in an investment bank on the trading floor, advising traders on a new program that they could use to book the trades. And I just it does seem like nothing is related to the rest, that this that the subsequent steps, they are not logical, if you think about the previous ones. But it's the zigzag is what I love to do. So, and it has led me to a good place. I couldn't do my current role if I didn't have this double experience. So you need to learn. In my role, I need to know a lot about the science, and I need to be able to have conversations with people who are in the lab and that do the innovation. But at the same time, I cannot support them if I don't also know about the business side, because then I cannot connect them to the to the right people, and I cannot I wouldn't be able to understand also the business perspective. What do people want? What does the market want? What does the market need? The skills that I learned in consulting are very much transferable to science and innovation, and in the end, working with also digital technologies has really been relevant, because as we're going towards an era of digital health. So
Mhm.
it's we cannot work in the world with boxes anymore. We cannot put people in boxes anymore. So
Yeah.
it's much more fluid than that.
Well, this is so important what you said, and I think we have that. We tend to do that, put people in boxes. So when we say, "Oh well, that person is just in science," it's just in science, and but not related with business. And your case is completely breaking with that rule. And I'm happy to having you here because of that. Because when we have this conversation and you show me all the things that you have been doing, that they only end up being is given to you growing through your career, having all this overview and having the opportunity to transfer that, as you well said. I'm happy that you have had the opportunity to live all this experience, because it's the only way that actually then you can be in the shoes of others, now seeing what happening, seeing what they are looking for, and understand better how you can help them. So
Yeah.
in this journey of life that you have been having, I think the mentorship have been playing a very good role in your development, because as I always said, well, I am building a community and this and that, but I cannot do that alone. I need always support and help. And how that have been for you something important in throughout your career?
Well, I couldn't have done. I couldn't have done it alone. I've had so much help, and I'm happy to say that most of the help came from women, which is such gives me so much hope for the future, that we can support each other and grow together. When I was trying to come back to Luxembourg, I I had been away for 10 years, so I had lost touch with with the working environment in Luxembourg, and I didn't know many people And I spoke. I had the courage to call uh, a few women, so Patricia, Christine, that I didn't know before, but I thought, I was hoping that they could help me find my way. And they took so much time to, for me, they took me through their LinkedIn contacts and said, I can introduce you to anyone who might be relevant. Um, it's at the end of the day, it's all about the personal connections, right? And the networking is key, and networking is much more pleasant if you are introduced by a common contact. So this is what I'm also trying to give back, to open doors for people, to connect people, even if I don't gain anything from it. It's just so simple, but not everybody does it. and uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we can all do more, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I want to give a special thank you to Patricia and Christine. I don't know who they are, but I'm happy that they help you. And actually, if you want to give the thank you to them publicly, it will be lovely. And I will put them already in the LinkedIn, because actually you mentioned something very important, and is the networking is important, but be ready to spread who you are is connected with building your personal brand. So I'm sure that in the moment that you was looking for all those connections, you got a LinkedIn very well developed with all the content that you have to communicate. So how you have been really building this personal brand? Because if you are going to ask for help and connecting with people, but really they're going to your LinkedIn account, for example, or to your CV, and they say, well, no, but I don't have a clarity about what this person can help us. So how did you manage that, and how did you build your personal brand?
So my personal brand is a little bit complicated because, as I said, I don't really fit in a box, and people find that still a bit confusing. I cannot sell myself as a scientist because people immediately say, "Well, you don't work in the lab anymore." I cannot sell myself as a businesswoman because I work for the university. So I so I've
That's true.
decided to make my well to focus my personal brand on what really matters, and these are the what I call the human factor. So I would always like to be known and remembered by my colleagues who I worked with in the past as as a people connector, and as someone who can recognize strengths in people and build on that, rather than like highlighting their faults and like trying to make them change. Yeah, I decided that my main in a world that is led by KPIs, key performance
Indicators.
indicators, I want to make mine to leave a positive trail, that people, I've been in a situation where either I could please my leadership and probably get a promotion and get a big bonus, or I could really like help the client and do a good thing for the team and still get to the objective. And it's not always black and white. So I'm giving an example, really a drastic example, but I would always choose to do what's right from a human perspective, and be remembered as as someone who tried to help.
Yeah, someone that is making an impact, because actually when you are working, and I was part of the corporate world as well, making the impact, sometimes people are saying, well, this is a big corporate, big company, probably what I am doing is not going to generate that impact that I think it can generate. And happen the same in the life. And for example, the terms of diversity and inclusion, that is something that is happening right now in the companies. So I'm curious about, probably with all this experience that you already had, working in these big corporates and now working with the university, how do you think or believe that maybe organization can take this inclusive environment?
Um, I think uh, inclusion starts from recognizing where all the differences can come from, so it's not about men and women, or different ethnic backgrounds, or it's really having the empathy to realize that someone else might feel in a different way than you. So I think teaching empathy is key, and that in so for example, on the topic of men and women in the workplace, I think we cannot build diversity if we don't involve uh, both uh, both parts. So involve the men, and try to 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 share, what the challenges are. Um, I think, yeah, I go back to my concept, and apologies if I keep going back to it, but if we start by not putting people in boxes and trying to connect with them to understand how they feel, I think it will be much easier in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And maybe sometimes this is the thing that we are lacking most, because we actually are not having this uh, starting with ourselves. Sometimes we are putting ourselves in the box, as you will say. I mean,
Yes.
my
Yes.
profession is this, and I am, and especially when you are deciding what is the career that you want to go for. And I think that I am saying that I'm going to give a little bit of context. In our conversation, you was telling me, well, sometimes girls are coming to me in the university and saying, well, if I am going to do to follow the science career path, how I'm going to probably be just in the box of the science, and your experience have been demonstrated something very different. So based on that, you will have, and just to start a little bit to wrap up this conversation, will you have any special, well, you have been giving a lot, just that, trying to don't put people in boxes and trying to really see what all the people are feeling, and this is very important. But what are your advice for all those special girls or people that are starting their career path related with your experience?
Yeah, I go to schools every year to try and share my passion for research, and I do come across a lot of boys and girls that are really interested in the subject, but they are worried about how that will translate into a professional career. I would say do science if you're passionate about it, because I have also seen the reverse case, that people chose like to do something that had a very clear professional path, like a lawyer or uh, a doctor, um, and then really regretted it because it was not their passion. So I would say, study science if you're passionate about it, and know that if you choose science, it's not for life. There are many options. I'm the best example. When I go to speak to the students, I always tell them, yes, I did research, but I'm not a researcher anymore. But that doesn't mean that I didn't love it, and that I cannot share my experience with you. Careers are very long, and they will not be linear anymore. And I always tell the students, try to understand as much as you can about what you want to do, know what the positive aspects are and the negative aspects, and decide if it's a good fit for you. There will always be drawbacks in every profession. There is drawbacks, and you just have to know if it's if you're the right piece for to finish the puzzle to fit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Sylvia. And I am so happy that you have been sharing not just your experience, but actually clearly your way to see the world that is very, very clear and very special, because not many people now are worried about how to see a little bit in yourself and how you can really add value, as you well said. And I love the word that you use. Humanizing, it was the one that you used, that this is really something that we really taking care of right now. No, so I don't know if you want to add something else. I'm curious about many things. I mean, for example, one other last question is, what are the most innovative projects that you are now managing in your job, in your professional life right now?
So there's lots of interesting projects that I follow both at the LCSB and in the Bioincubator. Uh, there are projects are trying to also find different ways of studying how the human body works. So we have a group that works on making little mini brains and that have exactly the same functions and characteristics of a full brain, and try to learn more about the disease using those mini brains. There's also another company working on the microbiome. The microbiome is a word for all the bacteria that is in your body that lives with you, and that we tend to ignore, but actually they play a huge part in what we are and how we live. Yeah, so I think these are two main themes of also other research that I follow. For example, making a gut on a chip, to study the digestive system
Wow.
without having to use animals, for example. So there's many exciting things coming in the scientific field, and it's definitely fascinating to be working in this. And I love the variety. I love jumping from one subject to the other, knowing about it, and being to help as many as possible to get to where they want to be.
Yeah, thank you for actually your energy and your positivism, and because I think it's important, and it's good to know that people that are developing this, is something that needs a lot of background, a lot of studies, and all these new health tech that is very important, that are making us realizing mm, a lot of things related with our behaviors, even now our mental health, because the gut
Yes,
health is connected with our mental health as well.
yes,
So it's a lot of things then that you need to know, actually, all related with marketing, how to communicate that, how to create the awareness on people about all the things that need to do. So it's very challenging, but I think it's very exciting at the same time.
yes. I mean, I always say that it's an innovation is not truly innovative if it doesn't help people at the end. So this is part of my job, to make sure that all the innovation that comes out of the lab can one day, with the realistic expectations, right? That it takes time, but that one day it can help people to live a better and longer life with a good quality of life.
Correct. Well, Sylvia, I think it's very important for you to let us, our audiences, know where they can contact in you, or send a message, or knowing more about you.
Yes, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out, and maybe you can also put my email address in the post of the
Oh, sure.
of
Yes.
uh, of this podcast. And thank you again for having me. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the listeners may have, and the viewers as well.
Thank you. Well, no, thank you for delivering all this value content already, and for letting yourself know this is a voice that we are giving to the world. And I love when the people bring this kind of content that you deliver to us right now. So thank you very much, Sylvia, for being here with us. and congratulations for your amazing career.
Thank you. It's not finished yet.
Yeah, that's true. It's going. Cool. We hope you have been inspired by this content and join us for future episodes of the Brilliantly Branded podcast. We will continue exploring the power of branding and the stories behind successful brands. And remember, if you know a woman who has built a successful brand with a unique approach and a story to share, please refer them to our podcast. We would love to learn from their experiences and share their story with our listeners. Stay tuned for more episodes of Brilliantly Branded, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel for more branding insights and women empowerment. Until the next episode, ciao ciao.